So hey all you out there in the interwebs, welcome to the moralgamer, and yes, I am looking at the Genesis classic game console by Games. And so we're going to start with the good unboxing here of this one. Yep, we've got a couple wireless controllers in it, and it says on the corner there also that it is compatible with Genesis titles, so we'll see on that one too. So as you can see, you got cables, power supply, and let's see here. Now, this is interesting though. This is actually just your left channel and your video. As you can see on the back here, it's just got the left channel and the video, and that's somewhat concerning to me because I'm used to having stereo. But then again, the original Genesis was only a mono console, and we have one controller. Now you can see it's a 6-button, decent pad on it. Not as comfortable as the classic though. They also added to this one, and maybe you can see it here, let me point it out, a menu button. And the menu button allows you to revert back to the menu of the Games console. So let's grab that second controller. Not featured here yet though is the instruction manual, which I have hidden underneath. So let's get everything situated here, just so you can see all the contents. So yeah, 5 items is what we're expecting. And just for perspective, I always use my dollar bill, and that's what it looks like compared to the Games portable console. So this is the total package minus the Games portable console. But as you can see again, it's a relatively small system. At least it's got the slot in the back there. So this is what you're getting when you purchase the Games portable Genesis. But let's go into the game reviews now. This one, like the Games portable Genesis, boasts over 80 titles, and unlike the portable Genesis, instead of an SD card slot, you have a cartridge slot for adding more games to it. So reliably, I mean, it does a decent enough job because it's got Sonic, guys. I mean, what more do you need in a Sega system? It's got Sonic games. A little disappointed though that we don't have Sonic 3 here, but then again though, one of the things that this game system specializes in are games that did not include a backup battery or save state. So unfortunately, that's probably why Sonic 3 wasn't included in there, and that's something why if you want any games that have a save state, you're going to have to get the cartridges separately. So you've got your Sonic, you've got Echo, Virtua Fighter, plenty of games to keep you busy with the first-party Sega titles. You know, I'm very pleased with it. Unfortunately, like before, it's got that same audio issue. And we're going to show you here again with Comic Zone how the audio on this system it doesn't... Guys, come on. Do it right.
Well done, Turner. Oh, yeah. Well done, Turner.
Oh, yeah.
As you can tell, her voice is a little lower. It's like they pulled the treble out or something like that, but too much bass. I don't know. Maybe they did Derpfest on it. I don't know. It's just frustrating, though, that some of the sound in key games just isn't what it should be as compared to the classic Genesis. So I'm disappointed there, but then again, though, that's on that particular cartridge. I'm sure if I could find a copy of Comic Zone, I'd pop it in there and it'd play just fine. So I did try a few of my own games on it, just to see how it plays, and it's mostly reliable. And I say mostly reliable because, like, here I've got Balls, and if you've never heard of Balls, it's one of those weird, odd ones. We've got Jurassic Park, and yes, I'm playing as Grant, even though I hate Grant. I was too lazy to switch over to the Raptor. It works well enough with games that are not included. Here's the problem I have, though. Not all games are compatible with this system. And so I have a copy of Experts here. And as you can tell, I load up my game and I select my character, and is the game ever going to start, guys? And I tried this about 3-4 times, and unfortunately it never got around to working. So I'm fairly disappointed there. That doesn't have all the compatibility, but I'm sure they're either using an older Genesis chipset or a modified chipset, something that just probably jailbroken, something that probably is just more compatible with the niche titles, the weird extras that they want to put on, which that's a good segue there too, because these extras are just, what the heck, guys? They even do this like, look at this. This is a weird, messed up version of columns. It doesn't make sense because not only are you matching colors, but you're matching shapes. And guys, come on, columns was fun enough, and you throw more confusion into it? Cheapers. So, it does a decent enough job. I have to address, though, the wireless controllers on this one. And I did both use wireless and I used a wired controller. And with the wireless controllers, what's nice about them is that you can hit the menu button on those wireless controllers to go back to the menu for the At Games Genesis system. And that's great if you're playing the At Games games, because then you can go back, select your next game, whatever. But if you're using a standard Genesis title, it resets the system. And so having that reset there it's frustrating because if you bump it instead of hitting start, you could be further along in the game and all of a sudden, whoop, back to the beginning. Shoot. Yeah, that definitely wasn't fun. That's something that I was a little frustrated with. Additionally, these things consume batteries like you wouldn't believe. Mine, I left my batteries in overnight. It's 2 AAAs, by the way, per controller. And they were dead by morning. I just left them in, guys. They weren't being pressed or anything. They weren't anything. The battery's just sitting in there and dead by morning. That's not cool. That is not how a system should work. Jeepers. I can't believe someone would oversee that. I like this. I like the remote controls that actually have an on-off switch because I find batteries last longer in those. And I really wish At Games would do something similar to that for their next iteration of a Genesis console or whatever this is supposed to be. Now, playing with a classic Genesis controller or any Genesis controller, it's got a couple ports in the front and it works just fine. You have your mode button, so anything that requires the mode button, you can use it. Sweet. I'm very pleased with how it handles and I'm using a 6-button off-brand controller. So I'll have to touch base on that off-brand controller later because the retro brick controllers are very sucky. But that said, though, it works well enough. If you have a Genesis controller or two, you can play. I don't like, though, that as soon as you plug in a Genesis controller to port 1, it removes the ability to have 2 players, even if the second player wants to use one of the wireless pads. So, guys, I really wish you'd give that flexibility. The Retron had the same issue, and a lot of these knockoff systems with portables, they have that same issue where you can't use a combination of hard wired controllers and wireless controllers with the system default. I mean, it's frustrating, I know, but I guess you gotta live with it. Technology attacks, maybe. Overall, am I pleased with the system? And yes, I actually am. For the price, and it usually goes about $50, but I got mine, actually it was a gift, but it was found on sale for about $12. I think it's actually a decent system. It's not a system I would say is a good collectible or like a good Sega. If you're Sega aficionado, I wouldn't say it's a great system for that. But if you're looking for a system that does the trick, gets you up playing some of your old Genesis games without having to go hunt down some of the rarer ones, like Streets of Rage 3 is on this one, and that currently runs like what? I've seen it $30 or so. So if you don't want to hunt down some of those rarer games, then yeah, this is definitely a good way to go. If you're one of those people who really is into their classic Genesis titles, there are much better avenues in which you can get your classic Genesis titles. Skip this. I mean, it's just for fun. It's not for collectible, and it does not do an excellent job of recreating the feel of the Sega Genesis. So let's do a quick touch on the morals here, and it depends on the game you're playing, because you got games like Shakan, where you're battling the devil for your soul and crap like that. You have games like Virtua Fighter, where you're martial arts combat. So it ranges the gamut across all sorts of different stuff. It's older titles, so it's not as deeply portrayed, except for Shakan, by the way, which has an in-depth, very in-depth story. But that's kind of what you risk when you're buying a system, especially one that comes preloaded with games. So if you have issues with pretty much anything, you're going to find something in there that I guarantee you'd find objectionable. So, morally speaking, I mean, you have issues with any of the normal staples, again, demonics, blah, blah, blah. You either don't want your kids playing those specific games, or you don't want to purchase this system. I mean, that's just kind of, again, it's one of those things where it just runs the gamut there. So, it's hard to say. And then, of course, whatever games you put into it also expands to, any moral things you might have objections. At least you have more control over that. So, I can stick can stick my X-Men in there and play that for a little bit too. Have fun. Hey though, moralgamer.com. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Gameplay channel, review channel, and links below. And we'll catch you next time with our next review. Thanks for watching.